I just wanted to first thank Men Having Babies for this opportunity to be sharing with you during this challenging time. I know it's been really hard for everyone, but the silver lining is that we get to share with more people. We get to communicate in different ways, and other people have access that we haven't had in the past. So this is my wife, Lena, also the co-founder of SurrogateFirst. Just a little bit about our own background. We're going to get officially started in about 3 minutes just to get some more people able to join. Me and Lena spent 15 years in Greater China, in China and Taiwan, Shanghai and Beijing specifically. And we are intended parents. We have 3 lovely children through surrogacy egg donation. And we are really familiar firsthand with the whole surrogacy journey. Lena has about 10 years experience of helping couples from Asia traveling abroad to America for IVF as well as surrogacy journeys. So, we're really passionate about helping families to create the family that we always dreamt of. It took us 6 years, 4 different countries, the US, China, Hong Kong, and finally Thailand at that time when it was still legal. And also many, many cycles of IVF. So we're really grateful that we were able to find a wonderful surrogate to carry our twins. And we're just, want to give back, and we're really happy to share today. Also along with us is Ashley Mareko. You can see her right there. She is a 3-time surrogate, and she is based in Las Vegas. Ashley is actually parked in the car. She just got off helping our surrogate with her confirmation of the heartbeat. So hopefully that all went really smooth. But Ashley will be helping out later on in some of the Q&A, as well as sharing some information about our cost calculator. So a little bit about SurrogateFirst. We were founded in 2018, but I always like to say that we are 2 going on 10, just like I said before, because Lena has been helping couples for the last decade, probably seen about 1,000 cycles, helped about 200 families really conceive and start their families. So we have a really long history in IVF and surrogacy, but our agency just for surrogacy started in 2018. We are full service boutique surrogacy agency, comprised 100% of surrogates and intended parents. So we are really hands-on and intimately knowledgeable about the whole journey. We have staff in Los Angeles, in San Francisco, in Las Vegas, in Arizona, in Alabama, and also we have a lot of coordinators and helpers all across the world, actually. We speak English, we speak Spanish, French, and Chinese. So we are a small family, but we're pretty global. And that's one thing about us, is that we will always be available and really personal touch with our services. So just a few things that I would like to share that set us apart. One is that we are very fast in placements. So as our name suggests, we recruit amazing surrogates. That's kind of our focus. So at any given time, we have 15 to 20 pre-qualified surrogates. What does pre-qualified means? That means that we've already searched, we've screened, we've done background checks, we've reviewed their medical records through our own team or a third-party medical practitioner. So at that point, we've already done all of the hard work to make sure that when we present to you and to your clinics, that they are already of a good quality and a good candidate for you. So therefore, our match times are pretty fast. I would say that as fast as 1 month or less, but on average, really it's within 3 months for sure. So you're definitely not going to be waiting 6 to 12 months to see candidates with us. That's one thing that, we do is, really have fast placements. Second is really important is no match, no fee. So no match, no fee means that we really invest our time and our resources into the intended parent's journey to kind of take off some of that financial burden and also that pressure So we do not charge any of our fees until you have a successful match. That means that the medical records have been reviewed by your clinic, you've had the match meeting, everything is already pretty much secure that the journey is going to happen before we start to charge 50% of our initial agency fee. So I think that is something also quite unique within our ability to really invest with our intended parents. Me and Lena being intended parents ourselves, we knew how much financial burden it was. So we want to commit as well as you commit to us. Lastly is our core values. This is something that we live every day in serving our IPs and also our surrogates. And a few of those are that we over communicate. That's one thing that we saw within the market, that sometimes after the match or after transfer, there just wasn't enough communication that would lead to some misunderstandings, etc. Second is that we do what we say. So if we say something we're going to commit to, then definitely we are going to follow through and do everything that we commit to. Going above and beyond is something that we strive for with our own team as also with our clients. Example was Ashley just the other day helped to save the intended parents about $3,000, $4,000 in terms of housing cost, right? By helping them to find through Airbnb, through a lot of other channels, a housing option that was not a 5-star hotel, that was close by, a better option. So to me, that's something that, you know, is going above and beyond that we didn't have to be doing. And last is that we're really transparent in all of our steps, all of our costs, and we really want to build that trust with all of our intended parents as well as our surrogates. So that is just a little bit about SurrogateFirst, where our origin started from, and a little bit about, you know, what we're about in terms of our core value. So today, it's much less about, you know, learning about our agency. I think what we would like to do today is really focus about the entire surrogacy journey from a financial perspective that encompasses 6 main categories. We're going to go over that very quickly. But basically, I spent the last year researching all the aspects of surrogacy to create the most comprehensive cost calculator to assist you to accurately and transparently navigate your path to starting a family. So only a very small portion of this is really specific to the agency side, which is our fees. But the large majority of it, 90% of the whole cost calculator, is really about the whole entire journey. So would love for you to all be able to participate with me as well as we go through this. So I'm going to copy and paste the URL in the chat. Okay, so right there in the chat, if you would like to open that up, I will be sharing my screen momentarily, and you can also follow with me to actually complete and start the cost calculator with me and get the full report. So at any time, you know, Brian or Walter or Russell or Ivy or Harit, anytime you guys have any questions, please chat it to me, raise your hand. Tim, Max, Anthony, I'll be very happy to answer any questions as we go on the fly. Just drop them into the chat and I'll take care of that. All right, so you guys ready? I'm going to introduce our amazing website that I've been spending the last couple years to improve over time. So this is our website, is SurrogateFirst.com. If you go under intended parents, we have, you know, a lot of information for intended parents as well as our surrogates. If you go to cost calculator, you will see that there's sample report. And just to briefly introduce the 6 main categories that we'll be reviewing is the total compensation for surrogates that include, you know, the base compensation, variable compensation, reimbursable expenses, and then circumstantial medical situations, hopefully that you won't encounter, that also give you an idea of the potential costs that might be incurred. Health insurance, which is a really big line item for the surrogacy and something that Ashley will be reviewing. She's an expert in this and it's changing all the time. And there are partners that we can refer to you that just do this every day for many years. And they're very knowledgeable and could give you some guidance in your specific case. Egg donation, I think for gay surrogacy, everyone, most likely 99% will be using egg donation one way or another, and we'll be speaking to that, as well as the medical expenses for the IVF journey, as well as the egg donor. Administrative fees, that's really just the agency fees, it's 2 line items. And then legal services, which is extremely important, but again, it's pretty straightforward in terms of the cost factors, okay? So if you guys wanna join me and click start calculation now, we'll be jumping into this. So just a very high level review is that the buckets up here is how you can jump to each stage. It's not progressional. And then these buckets are also more about the segments of where the costs will incur versus a time frame of the journey, okay? And then once you click on all of these, you'll get a percentage complete of the entire survey itself, calculator, and then a total, okay? So it's pretty self-explanatory. And I'm just gonna review this, and I know that Ashley and Lena will interject when I miss something, just like my whole life, there's my wife and all the women around me giving me a lot of positive feedback. So number one is the surrogate compensation. So surrogate compensation is really, you know, if you click onto some of these, you'll see where the variety of this comes from. But basically, sorry, for the base compensation, there's mainly 2 factors, is, you know, what state they reside in and if they're repeat and not repeat, okay? So all of these details, we can review yourself, or you can, or we'll be sharing throughout the presentation. But basically, you know, also we'll give you hints about when these payments will be paid out. So, you know, I think a lot of people have misconception is as soon as they sign the contract for the surrogates that they get this lump sum and they're, you know, doing really well and they're really happy, and there's a lot of potential risk that, you know, is the surrogate going to be responsible? But however, you know, the base compensation and all of the payments are really not incurred until the time of transfer, and then thereafter broken up between 8 to 9 months in monthly installments, okay? So the surrogates really get paid out over time and not until they really are committed at the transfer date, okay? So in terms of base compensation, in-state, out of surrogate-friendly states such as California have a premium, and then if they're a repeat surrogate, and also a premium. So at SurrogateFirst, our surrogates start at $35,000 for first-time surrogate, non-resident, non-Californian, sorry. And then are you planning to have a single or twins or triplets? We highly advise only 1 embryo transfer, okay? And usually, so I'm gonna put a single. Single is still the original cost. If you had twins or triplets, usually it's an increase of increments of 5,000, okay? So in this case, we'll just say single, but we have twins. We are very blessed to have twins, and that was just, you know, a big bonus. So second portion of this is called the surrogate expenses, benefits, and services. And what these are, to me, are really the variable factors. So sometimes in a line item, when you have the cost factors, we'll say, oh, anywhere from 3 to 6,000. And you'll say, hey, where does that 3 to 6,000 happen? It's actually happening all here in terms of expenses, benefits, and services, all the variable costs, okay? And the monthly allowance, this is actually very important. Before you even sign the contract and you'll have a term sheet, you'll agree to what the monthly allowance is. For SurrogateFirst, I believe it's 200 a month?
Yeah,
200 a month. And therefore, 2,400 is the estimate, because usually that's going to happen right when you sign and then all the way until the birth, about 12 months time. And then usually there will be some bonuses that we will be giving to the surrogates based on really key milestones, okay? So at legal clearance, sometimes there's one. At start of medication fee, we also usually provide a bonus, 300 for SurrogateFirst. And then these ranges, to be honest, is just the whole market. So this is not specific to SurrogateFirst. These are all the cases I saw of 15, 20 different agencies and partners that charge these different or provide these different benefits, okay? Background check, you know, can be up to 200. It could be as cheap as 50, depending on the level of background check that your agency or yourself perform. So the reason why there's something like 500 or even 1,000 is because some people might have a private investigator dig a little bit deeper, but that's very, very rare. Usually the ones that cost about 200-300 are very, very comprehensive. Okay, so we're usually checking just for, is there any criminal record? Are there any other kind of misdemeanors, any bankruptcies, anything major? It's not really to, we're looking and digging deep to find bad stuff, but we just want to be safe, right? Psychological screening, which is a must by a certified psychologist. Okay, I think that's something also we have to be careful. Sometimes there is family therapists or people who are not, a certified psychologist. So you have to know the difference between the two. And sometimes your doctors, sometimes the agencies have different requirements. Moving along, wellness benefit. So for us, we have a almost mandatory $800 fee that we charge the intended parents because we want to provide a custom program for our surrogates even before they start getting pregnant, all the way till what we call the fourth quarter, which is post-birth, so they can get back to their own regular weight and health even after the pregnancy. Okay, so we really want to take care of the surrogate. This is something that we really appreciate that we show up front that will also generate a lot of goodwill. Maternity clothing, depending on if you're single or twins, it might be a little bit more. Transfer fee is also very common. Housekeeping. So housekeeping usually will start after 24 weeks. Okay, that's at
12 weeks
or 12 weeks too, depending on when the doctor says, please do not lift anything heavy, don't do anything strenuous. That's when usually the housekeeping will kick in. So if we start at 24 weeks, that's more like 12 weeks, and every week is X amount of dollars we have estimated. So it's about $50 to $100 per time, and we have an estimate of $600. And then also, sorry, some of this is not totally chronological. I will move it around, but breast milk pumping, usually, how many weeks?
Usually 4 weeks to 6 weeks.
Okay, usually 4 to 6 weeks. And then, the average is $200 per week. That's what we found in the market, but it can vary from 150 to 300, depending on, who, your surrogate. And then they can actually also mail these too, right?
Yeah,
they can ship it to you, and it'll still be fresh and usable. Massage therapy is something that we provide to our surrogates, and this has to be with the doctor's approval. It has to also be with a certified masseuse that does massage therapy for pregnant women. Okay, so this is not that you just go somewhere and you just do it yourself. It has to be medically approved, and it also has to be conducted by someone who really knows that. So that's something I think that surrogates really appreciate. Some of these smaller things just to show that we do care, we appreciate, and we want you to be healthy and comfortable during this time. Okay. Gifts. So gifts is completely up to you, the intended parents, about if they want to give anything or not, but sometimes they'll send a card, they'll send something for their kids' birthdays, something just personal, but I'll leave that up to you guys to see what you would like to be sharing and charging. Medical, this one is reimbursable expenses. Okay, the reimbursable expenses takes place during the 3 times of the likelihood that the surrogate will be traveling. Okay, so once during the medical screening, another time at transfer, and another time at delivery. Okay, so based on my calculator, I have estimated that they're going to have lodging, they're going to need childcare, and they're going to need food per diem per each trip that they take to the clinic. So the variables here is that if they are close to the clinic, then you're going to incur very low fees of this. If they are further away, then you will be incurring more fees. Okay, but sometimes it's not that you're one state over another. It just depends on the travel costs. It's not really about the distance. And another one is that for some of the trips, such as transfer, we encourage and we allow a spouse or a support
Companion.
companion to join them. So that those budgets are going to be a little bit more. And I have all of this inside of all of the remarks. So you can go back and you can fill that up. So
Jeff,
I
may
know that
I
we have,
interject?
yes, please.
So most clinics will require a companion because while the surrogate's on bed rest, she's not able to go get her own food. And so a lot of the clinics require that they bring someone with them.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. Actually, I'm just trying to get rid of that one. Okay, so the next area is for, so I'm just going to fill these out very quickly because the survey, the calculator is quite long. So let me just stop this real quick and again, please, if you have any questions, please write them up in the chat and I would love to answer those. Okay, so these travel lodging, I'm just kind of gonna go a little bit on the low end because that's usually what our budgets are. Travel and lodging for transfer is a little bit more because there's 2 people traveling, and I'll put it more in the middle there. Childcare as well. So this is another thing. If you have a surrogate that has children that do not need to be babysat or taken care of, you can save a little bit of money on that side as well, besides them being, close to the clinic. So delivery also will be a little bit more because once they deliver, they're going to be preoccupied at least for 3 to 5 days in terms of before and then recovery. Okay, so all of these things, although there's so many details, but just rest assured, there's people like SurrogateFirst and other partners and agencies that can walk you step by step by all of these scenarios. Okay, because that's what we do every single day. So I mean, we get down to the very, very nitty gritty of cost per mile that they travel. And then in terms of bed rest, on average, how many days do people usually bed on the surrogate's bed rest, Ashley, for delivery? Oh, sorry, not bed rest. Usually none, right?
No, yeah, and usually no bed rest.
Yeah. So bed rest, bed rest, this is just in a rare case, about maybe 5-10% that they'll need it. Then I have a budget line item for that. And it ranges from $150 to $300 per day. Okay. So just want to throw those out to you. Circumstantial medical compensation. I just put this into a graph of low, medium, high, because every clinic and every doctor and agency has different fees for this. Okay. So for the most cases, I hope that none of these occur, such as the need for lost wages or a C-section or some kind of termination. Really hope that everything is smooth, but just want to be realistic and also share with you some of the potential cost factors, right? So right now, if we just look at our first section of surrogate compensation, the different areas of the base, the variable, the reimbursable expenses, we're at 46,000. Okay, so I go to the bottom, and Ashley, if you're ready, I'm going to click into insurance, and then once we click on insurance, then we have also very, very detailed, before you buy the insurance itself, and then also some other options. So Ashley, I'm gonna, if you want to unmute, you can maybe walk us through a little bit of this.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Yeah, so we definitely have several options. Insurance is broken down into health insurance, and then there's different types of indemnity plans, and then we go into accidental death and life. So for the first thing, definitely to recommend or remember is that, is that we need to review a surrogate's health insurance. A lot of times the plans are, these booklets are 150 pages. They have little exclusions and things like that. And so we do count on different partners in the insurance industry to review the fine print. Most of these insurance review companies actually have attorneys on staff. And so they're looking at that. They're calling the insurance company. They're going through the booklet, and then they're giving us a report. So that's just to kind of confirm that you have insurance. And so that's one of our things. Surrogate-friendly insurance is available throughout the United States. It just varies by states, and then it also varies by the brand of insurance. So there's different types of insurance company providers, and sometimes there's things like liens and exclusions. And so we want to make sure that you're protected and you never are surprised by the outcome of an insurance. I think it's important for you to always have that. We also have insurance setup. So it's important that with insurance, our providers will be able to apply for insurance, find the right insurance that's surrogate friendly if your insurance provider does not have it. And then, and then it will allow you to, I'm looking through, I'm sorry, my camera, I'm not able to see very clearly, but so basically health insurance preparation, that's where we're gonna review the program. It's between $400 and $500, takes about a week and we can confirm that. You also will do health insurance setup. That's where you're gonna go through the marketplace, your company that we'll be using or ourselves will go through, find surrogate friendly insurance, and that will vary too between if you're wanting how in depth, so $500 to $600. When you're going through the health insurance management assistance part of it, that's where they would actually go and make sure every bill is paid. They're making sure that the different co-pays, deductibles, all of those are being paid. That's not a typical service, but if that's something that you're wanting, they are able to follow the entire surrogacy and make sure everything gets taken care of. When we're talking about ACA plans, ACA is our marketplace. It's the Affordable Care Act. If a surrogate does not have surrogate-friendly insurance, there are several times that she can be able to go through the marketplace. Always between October 15th, some states all the way to January 30th, we're able to apply for the upcoming year's insurance. And those are normally more affordable than the private surrogate only, plans. And those can kind of vary between like $250 to $700 depending on the state that you're in. And it's important to be able to have that and understand, which states. And so that's kind of something that we can guide you through. If a surrogate if it's not open enrollment, there are other options like special enrollment periods where if she was to lose her insurance that she currently had, we would be able to apply for an ACA plan if those are available in her state. So that's definitely something important to remember. The other thing is if a surrogate is in a state or a county that does not have surrogate-friendly insurance, it's not special enrollment or it's not open enrollment, your other option is going to be a surrogacy-specific health insurance. With surrogate-specific health insurance, it is quite costly, but it will cover everything. So a lot of times these will cover and there won't be a deductible or there won't be, there'll only be a premium to it. The other options too with that is we have more of like a Lloyd's of London plan where you would be like a cash pay up into about, $10,000. If there was an emergency, then the Lloyd's of London backup plan would then cover you at that time for any emergencies. So there's different varying insurance companies. They're always coming up with new insurance providers. Others are losing. So it's definitely important to not take that on your own and to make these decisions because it is quite complicated. There's entire companies that are year-round studying insurance plans. And so definitely, trusting the professionals to help you with that would be my ideal recommendation. So when you're looking at that, heading down, general health insurance options. If a surrogate has health insurance already, it's through her employer. You're able to, you can use those for the deductibles and for the premiums. On the other end though, if she did not have health insurance, you're looking at, again, just a straight Lloyd's of London or other, insurance providers that cover that. If we head down just real quick, there's accidental death insurance. We don't usually use term insurance because term insurance will require that they do some type of physical. It takes a lot of time. Sometimes insurance companies question why we're putting out insurance policies on a surrogate and naming intended parents as beneficiaries. So we stick to an accidental death benefit. It lasts about 18 months and you can have 3, 5, 750,000. Parents are always recommended to do about 150,000 of benefits for themselves to cover the surrogacy. So that's kind of it. When you're going through it, at 300,000 starts at 300 and you can go on and it'll increase the price. The other thing you want to look at too is surrogate hospital insurance. So hospital indemnity, if they were to end up in the hospital, all of these insurance plans that we're going to go over, like the surrogate hospital, organ rider, and permanent disability, these are all additional to normal insurance. So these would cover your cost. Like with the hospital indemnity, if you were to pick that up and your surrogate was to end up in the hospital, you would be covered by $300, $600, $900. Same thing with these other ones. This amount that the surrogate receives from these different events, that is to offset what could potentially come out of your escrow account. So it's not additional benefits to the surrogate, it's to protect you and your family's finances. So you can definitely go through these, click on different amounts, look it over. Same thing with the permanent disability. It's not so that she's getting additional benefits, it is to protect you in the long term, because at the end of the day, you've still got college for your children that are coming and your family that's growing.
Right.
So I think that would be it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley, so much. Just one thing I want to emphasize here is that for SurrogateFirst, the accidental death insurance is 100% mandatory. And I would, for every agency in surrogate, I would 100% request that there is accidental death insurance for the surrogate, as well as covering for the intended parents. So that is something that also, as Ashley had said, she is also previously an insurance broker. She knows very, very well that the life policies are quite complicated. And that's why, a lot of agencies are moving over to the accidental death versus trying to get a life insurance policy for people. So great. Thank you so much, Ashley. I'm going to go over to egg donation now. So I'm going to click on yes. And then Lena is going to kind of walk us through most of these cost factors. So Lena, you want to?
Hi, everybody. I'm Lena. So the egg donation obviously is one of the most important part for you to start your journey, because in the beginning, you need to find your ideal egg donor to start the cycle. And then I think, how are we going to find a good donor? I have a lot to talk, but right now we just focus on the cost sector, right? And then the first one is estimated egg donor agency and matching fee. Okay, so a lot of agency right now, they charge about 6,000 to 8,000. Some of the agency will charge 10,000 for agency fee just to find you a right donor and coordinate during the egg donor cycle. Egg donor cycle, and then
when will it be very low cost? That's 4,000 or something.
Well, sometimes 4,000 because the clinic themselves have some donors, so they don't make money on top of that. They just want to start the cycle, so that's why. But most of the agency, like professional agency, will charge at least the 6,000 to 10,000. Okay. Let's put it on 8,000. Okay. And then what is the estimated egg donor compensation? The compensation depends on if it's Asian donor, it will be more expensive. And then it will be Caucasian or other Mexican or Latin American, because we have
less
more
Asian
pool,
donors.
of those. So that's why they're like more, the compensation is lower. So if you choose like say an Caucasian donor, and then will be like 10,000, around 10,000 to, if they're repeat, if they're proving egg donor before, they had a lot of eggs and there's already a previous pregnancy, that will be probably 20,000 or 15,000 to 20,000. Let's put so 15,000, okay, for the proving egg donor, because a lot of people want to find a proving donor because they're already proving, to have healthy baby before. So, okay. So travel for egg donor will be like twice. Okay, so travel for egg donor is egg donor travel to the clinic for medical clearance. And then the second time is egg donor will travel to clinic for the egg retrieval. So the travel cost will be high.
Why is it high?
Because they need to have, when they start the cycle, they need to do the injection for 10, 11 days. So they need to stay in the hotel. So their travel cost is oftentimes is higher than the surrogate, because surrogate only travel there and go there today and transfer next day and then leave at the third day or fourth day. But egg donor had to stay there, stay to the doctor for cycle monitoring. Okay, so we put it higher. Okay, so psychological screening fee will be about, 500 or 300 sometimes. And then preliminary screening fee for the egg donor often. Okay, so maybe she's just this basic thing, right? So okay, so this is low, and legal fees probably about 350. Oh, intended parents, yeah, 1,000, and the egg donor is 500. So because you need to sign a legal contract with the donor before start the cycle. After the medical clearance, you need to sign a contract. Okay, so and then escrow management fee normally is like I think 300 enough for this one. So you need to put this lower. And then next one is medical. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
So egg donor plus the
Yeah. So I think
thing is,
yeah, we're gonna go over the kind of the egg donation and medical a little bit faster because those are going to be really clear cut to you and a lot of decisions made when you're working with the egg donation agency. But we just want to give you a general idea of what are the cost factors and how much you can expect.
right.
Same thing for the medical. So medical, when we talk about medical, we're talking about the medical fees associated with the egg donation as well as the IVF cycle for your surrogate. Okay. So just for the medical evaluation fees, these can be quite high. And the first one is for the egg donor. And this one is around how much, Lena?
It's around 25 to 40, 100.
Okay, so around 3,500, I would say that is the average.
Yeah.
And then for the medical screening for the surrogate is also expensive. And this is
It's about 4,000 to 6,000.
4,000, 6,000. We'll just put 5,000.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a lot of screening, a lot of tests, and it takes a little bit of time. Does it take more than
More time? Yeah.
more time
Much longer
than
time.
the egg donor? So therefore, it'll be a higher cost. The IVF treatment here, I think we're not going to go into the details, but this is definitely something that you would want to talk to the IVF physicians about why their fees are higher or lower than other clinics. What is something average?
So the IVF cycle probably is like 20,000.
Okay.
Let's put a little bit more.
Yeah, so 23,000. Medication also is a cost factor for both egg donors as well as a surrogate as well. And around how much?
4,000.
4,000 minimum.
Mm-hmm. Injection is really expensive.
Okay. Injections for egg donors are quite expensive.
For surrogates, probably 2,000.
2,000 for the medication for the surrogates. And then, there will be some blood work for the parents involved, intended parents, and also semen analysis if you need to have that as well, okay? For monitoring, this also depends on if your egg donor and surrogate is close to the clinic. That is a big cost savings potentially, because if you are inside monitoring, then it's very reasonable. If you're outside monitoring, it can become very, very expensive. So those are one of the things that when we find a surrogate, if they're not,
it's very rare to be close to.
Yeah, so it's very close, very rare to be close. Most cases, it's going to be outside monitoring. So at that time, we already are looking for the medical provider close by and asking, hey, what are the charges? Can we set up a program with you for the monitoring?
Yeah, we will try to find the most cost effective.
Yeah. So over here, I'm just going to kind of put on the lower end of the monitoring, but please just be aware that it can be quite costly. Additional testing.
Testing the embryo. Yeah.
This is the testing of the embryo.
For the gender or for
pre-genetic screening, for chromosome screening, etc. Yes, so this starts 4,000. 5,000. Sperm sorting for people who would like to have gender selection for male and female. Lena was telling me that sperm sorting is
maybe workable, maybe not.
Yeah, is not that accurate.
You would need to talk to your doctor.
Yeah, talk to your doctor about that one, please. And then also genetic carrier screening. And is this taking place all the time, or just
to choose an egg donor? You have to do this
Okay.
because you don't want to find someone who has the same genetic carrier and your baby will have problems in the future.
So this is a screening that is almost mandatory. So storage for our embryos and for your frozen sperm and semen freezing. Okay, so those ones are pretty self-explanatory, and I'm going to go over to administrative fees. So the administrative fees is really just the agency fee. Okay, so agency fee, what SurrogateFirst does is that we manage the entire process from searching and screening and recruiting the surrogates all the way to intaking them, and then to matching, and then to the transfer. All the way around, we have people who are helping at intake. We have case managers, both for the intended parent and the surrogate. And then even all the way up to birth to post-birth, we're going to be there with our clients all the way through. So for every agency, slightly different, but our costs are at $20,000 minimum. And then we have, if we have international supplement, depending on the concierge service, it could be anywhere from $2,000 to $10,000. Okay, so please just be aware when you do talk about the agency fees, there is a very wide range, and then please just make sure that whatever services are included and when the payments are. Ours is that, as I said, no match, no fee. We do not have any payment until match, which is 50% of our $20,000 agency fee, and then the second half is after legal clearance. Okay, so those are the two areas where our payments come into play. Some agencies have retainers, some also have similar ones as us. Okay, so the last area before we get into Q&A, which I want to have at least about 15 minutes, is legal. Legal is obviously extremely important, but there's mainly just two areas that you have to have the lawyer involved. Number one is the surrogacy contract. The surrogacy contract for intended parents is going to be predetermined already by like a term sheet that we have. So all of our surrogates and their terms and their compensation and what they agree and not agree with are predefined way before we give anything to the lawyer. And that is definitely the best practice. The lawyer is really there just to draft the contract and make sure that you're protected. So in this case, for the surrogacy contract, it's around 25 is, I would say, on the more lower end. There's of course all the whole spectrum. East Coast, some of the lawyers become more expensive, and then for the surrogate portion is slightly lower because that's more of a review than the drafting itself. Okay, and the second part when you will be using a lawyer is the parentage order, the pre-birth order, the post-birth order, and then some of the associated fees with going to file, etc. So again, for the parentage order for intended parents tends to be a little bit more, and then also for the surrogate will be less because all it is more of a review. Okay, and then escrow fees for surrogacy journey, we always use Seeds escrow, very sophisticated online process, and it's about $1,500. Some lawyers will also conduct the escrow, but we tend to suggest that you should separate who does the escrow for you and who does your legal, but that is a personal choice. Okay, so if we go to the last page, we can see the summary and all of the major buckets of the details. And then if you fill in your information here, you will get the full report instantly. Sorry, thank you, Lena. First.com 310, just put something in there. Yes, I would like to have a free consultation, insurance consultation, intended parent guide, full report. Instantly will download to you right here. Click on that real quick. And then you'll see everything line item broken down for you for every single subsection. Okay, so this whole tool hopefully will allow you to really navigate and have a clear picture, at least in the big direction of all the major cost factors that you will incur. So with everything that we spoke to, all in is about $160,000 for your whole journey. And then you can use this as a benchmark when you go and talk and review with all your vendors and all of your partners. Okay, so hopefully that is something that is useful to you. It's something that we spend a lot of time to create, not only for Surrogate First purposes, but for everyone's journey. So another way, if you would like to get in touch with us, is click on our free consult. You can click on the Becoming Intended Parent, and we have a really cool tool where you can just go into the future of any date or time that's convenient for you. We have all the times available, and you can just enter your information, and then we'll be scheduling a call with you through Zoom or through the phone. Okay, so thank you so much for your time, and just being able to share with you some things on the cost calculator. We have 10 minutes, and I would like to spend this time to open it up to some questions specific to any of your just Q&A time. So does anyone have any questions that they would like to ask? And I believe that there is no limitation on the microphone. So if you want to unmute and ask your question, that would be great. Anyone have any questions? Hara, Jimmy, Russell, Tim, hey Max.
I have a question.
Yes.
So where are usually your surrogate from? What state are they from?
Great. That's a great question, Max. Thank you so much. So we recruit across the whole country. And we have surrogates from California, from Texas, from East Coast. So maybe I can let Ashley answer that specifically, because she is our surrogate recruiter, and she's processing all of our intake.
Yeah, definitely. So we currently have surrogates that are in Florida, South Carolina. We move up to Wisconsin, Texas, and we'll head over, and we have a lot of surrogates in like the Nevada, California, Oregon, Washington, Colorado. So we do have surrogates throughout the country. What's special about us is that we work to find out what's the best state for you, the best surrogates that we have that match your preferences. And then if we're looking for something specific, we're able to go out and work with our partner coordinators to find the right surrogate too.
Great. Thank you, Max.
I have a question. In the beginning, you mentioned about you can break it down into 8 to 9 payments until you commit to the transfer and all that. So as long as it's all paid by the end, like when the delivery happens, does the payment have to be done by then?
Yeah, Ashley, can you share the details of when the compensation is started to be given out?
Yeah, I do have a quick question. Are you asking when the surrogate's compensation is paid out, or when you need to deposit that into escrow?
When I need to deposit it.
Got it. Okay, so we do have to have a surrogacy fully funded. That's just a common guideline across the surrogacy. So we would recommend that at the time of legal clearance, that there be a minimum of a $70,000 in the balance in the account in escrow. And that normally will suffice to go through the surrogacy process. After your initial funding, they will require that you have at least $10,000 to $15,000 balance in there up until about 6 months after birth. That's just to confirm that all your medical bills are paid for, everything is taken care of, and then anything that's left in that escrow account is refunded to you right away.
And then Ashley, maybe you can also share with Herat the details of when the payments are made to the surrogate for how long, because he was asking.
Oh, I'm so
standard
sorry.
Transfer all the way to 8 or 9 months out.
Yeah, so the first payments start happening. There's a fee at medications when they start to do their injectable medications at transfer, but the actual base compensation is not paid out until we've had 2 positive HCG or pregnancy tests completed. There's a small portion at that time. Then there's another portion about 4 weeks after transfer at heartbeat confirmation. Once we've got heartbeat confirmation, those payments of the base compensation are broken down to about 8 more payments, and they're paid out at the first of the month. So if a surrogate was at $35,000 for base compensation, she would receive an additional $3,500 a month out of that base until delivery. Once delivery has occurred and it is full term, she would receive that remaining 35,000, whatever was left of her base, within 7 to 14 days.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that question. Great. Anyone else? Russell? See that, or Jimmy, I see that you are looking on. Anyone else? Tim or Anthony have any specific questions? Michelangelo?
I have another question.
Go for it.
Under the insurance, when we were talking about insurance, there was all these costs, health insurance prep, 400 to 500, all estimated, of course. Now, do you mean a month, or are these all one-time fees added, or is it monthly?
Yeah,
I'm sorry
let me
about that.
Yeah, let me just pull that up real quick.
Yeah. So what we normally will account for is 10,000 for the surrogacy journey if we're using an ACA plan, or we're using, if we're using an ACA or the marketplace plan. And how that works is you would have a premium, and the premiums are between $300 and $600 depending on the state or the county. That's paid out every month. On top of that, what you want to make sure you look for is what the deductible is and what the out-of-pocket max are. So deductible is going to be what you pay until the insurance picks up 80% of the bills. And there's usually an individual out-of-pocket max and a family out-of-pocket max. With surrogacy, which is unique because insurance, normally you buy insurance and you're not sure if you're going to use it. When we're going with surrogate insurance, we know we're going to use it. And so we always look for something that is a high premium cost. So it costs a little bit more every month, but it'll have a lower deductible, say $2,000, out-of-pocket max of $4,000. So if there was some type of crisis or something that could be catastrophic, you were looking at just paying the premium and then paying that out-of-pocket max of like $4,000. So that's kind of where all those numbers come into play. We do say account for 10,000 for the entire surrogacy, and that should cover the premiums and deductibles and those kind of things.
Thank you.
Yeah, Harriet, I know, the insurance part is very, very complex, but there are 2 or 3 companies that only specifically cater to surrogacy industry. So definitely we would introduce you to them. These preparations, of course, are just one-time, one-offs. These 3, you would just pick one, right? You pick one of these, and these are the monthly premium. This one's annual, okay? Because these change so much, I don't want to hard code them, but I just kind of like the cheapest you're going to get away with is kind of like getting really lucky to ACA. The surrogate is in a surrogate-friendly state that gets covered for surrogacy, okay? The kind of worst case scenario is they don't cover surrogacy, they don't have insurance, you're going to have to get, and then that state, they don't covered by the surrogate specific health insurance companies, and you might have to pay $25,000 for a very extremely expensive plan, right? So definitely I would spend a lot of time on that. These other optional ones are just a one-time premium.
Yeah.
And these are not monthly.
Yeah.
But these are, I would say, important because just recently, last year during the journey, we did have a surrogate that was, premature, was not in network area of the hospital, and then had to be hospitalized until she gave birth, which was 5 days. It could have been 5 weeks. So during that time, if we had one of these insurance policies, we would have been much more comfortable in terms of if they were going to be covered for the cost by the intended parent. Of course, the safety of the surrogate is always number one, but sometimes we also then get very concerned about, okay, is it covered in network? Yes, no. Do we have the right policies in place?
Now, if a surrogate does have surrogate-friendly insurance, you're looking more at about $3,000 for the surrogate journey. So if she's got, normally, if a surrogate has surrogate-friendly insurance, they pay the premium or it's paid through their employer, and then you would just take care of the out-of-pocket and deductibles and things like that.
Great, good question, Hera. Anyone else have any questions, or you can continue to ask questions as well, no problem. Michael, you have any questions? Tim, Anthony? We have about 4 more minutes, so we have the chance for maybe 1 or 2 more questions.
I have a few more.
Yes, we can have a live consultation.
How much say does this surrogate have in the insurance plan you choose, or are you guys involved and you just match her needs with what we need. If,
Yeah.
if we have to apply for the ACA, and let's assuming she doesn't have her own, insurance and stuff.
Yeah, I'll let Ashley answer that, but yeah, we're very involved in that. That's one of the pieces
We'll
that we
do
spend a
everything for you, yeah.
lot of time. So Ashley, please.
Yeah. So on the surrogate side, we normally want to, if they have a good quality OBGYN, we want to stay in network. So we're looking for an insurance provider that's that will cover a hospital near the surrogate that's at least a level 2, level 3 NICU, and that their OBGYN is a network for. Sometimes we can't accommodate that. And so we will still pick up a plan that has an OBGYN option that's near their home. At any point though, in the contracts, that if you ever felt uncomfortable with the OBGYN, normally those contracts for intended parents will state that you both can choose another doctor. We always want to make sure that our doctors are inclusive, that they're welcoming, and that they accept any of our family makeups and how we do surrogacy. And so you do have a say when it comes to that part of it.
Oh, nice, nice.
Yeah, and we also make sure the surrogate will pay for the insurance every month. Otherwise, if they don't pay, then there will be, yeah. There's a lot of work.
And then you're mentioning something also about 4 to 6 weeks of breast pumping, which I think is so interesting. Can you explain how that works?
Yeah, definitely. As a 3-time surrogate, I could tell you how pumping works.
Yeah. No, I mean, I know what that is, but I mean, the
The process.
Yeah. Or something for up to 4 to 6 weeks after the birth.
Yeah, so sometimes parents will stay in country, either they're domestic intended parents and they live in the area. For me, what we did with our surrogacy is that I would pump and freeze, and then once a week I would pack it all into a cooler and then overnight it to the intended parents. They would receive it like 8 hours later or 12 hours later, and be able to have breast milk for their child. So there's definitely different ways that we can do it. Normally, intended parents will stay for a week after birth, and so that's where the pumping first starts, and you're handing off the milk daily. Once the supply opens up, then we're able to ship it.
That's so cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is. So we have 1 more minute officially. So I'd like to take one more question before we end. And let me see if there's anyone in the chat here. But Hera, do you have a question?
Yes, my last one. Toward the end, you mentioned an escrow management fee under the preliminary screening fees. What is that like just a separate account to put money in, or can you explain what that is?
For egg donor or for surrogate?
Either, I think it was mentioned for both, so for either.
For both for egg donor, it's a case for egg donor. You also have an escort to put the money first, and after she done her egg retrieval, she will get that money. So that part is about like $300 because it's a short process. But for surrogacy, you need because it's almost a year, so that's $1,500.
Yeah. Okay. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Men Having Babies, for allowing us to have this opportunity. Thank you to everyone listening in, and especially thank you, Herat, for all the great questions. Really appreciate that. We really look forward to being able to review and help you with your journey. So anytime you want to have a free consultation with me or Lena or with Ashley, we're here for you. And anytime in any part of in your journey, early or ready to go. All right. So thank you so much. And thank you, Sarah.